welcome to part 3 of deconstruction. Today we're going to be furthering our exploration of defense, and we're going to be talking about parries, which are different than blocks, and we're going to start looking at footwork. So if my partner here feeds me an angle 1 and I do this is a block. I'm imposing something in front of something else. There's another thing you can do that's called a parry, and there's a difference between a block and a parry. If he feeds me that angle 1 and I move the weapon off to the side in the same way the weapon is being thrown, so in this direction, I'm following it with my blade and pushing it away. If you think about this, if you drop your weapon for a second, if you think about this like a boxer, all right, and you throw me a jab, you're parrying the jab. You're not blocking it. You're not putting something in front of it. You're smacking it aside. Same thing with our swords. He feeds me that angle 1, I'm batting it aside. It's a parry. Now, a lot of people will call this an abanico movement because it's very fan-like. It describes this fan motion, but don't get too caught up in it's an abanico. The only thing that really matters is when that's coming in, you move it out of the way. And it's kind of a circular motion the way I particularly do it. But you'll see a lot of people will do it just like this, where they turn the weapon over in this direction. And they're using the back of their blade to parry that out of the way. Then they can return their strike. Now, the real key behind parries is actually footwork. Parries typically don't work if you stand in the same spot. So if I try to parry this, there's a good chance I'm not going to catch it. So I retreat. I simply step back. Now I step forward and can feed my lines back into them. And we're not talking about any complicated footwork here. We're simply stepping back, parrying, coming forward. Step back, parry, come forward. And you do it all at the same time. So as he attacks, parry, come forward. Now, on the topic of footwork, far too often these things get overcomplicated. You'll see all sorts of training drills where people will lay sticks out on the floor and diamond patterns, and you learn all this complicated way of stepping. But that's not really needed. You already know how to walk. You already know how to go from point A to point B. So if I want to move to his flank, I don't need to think about some kind of strange footwork diagram or anything like that. I just simply move. It's that simple. Step forward at a 45. If he feeds me that number 2, oh, look, I stepped forward at a 45. Nothing complicated. You'll hear me say this a lot, nothing complicated, nothing complicated. The Filipino martial arts aren't complicated. They're actually really simple. Simple does not mean easy, though. This is something to understand. Simple does not mean easy. So far, we've covered stepping forward at a 45 and stepping forward at a 45. We can also step back, step forward, step to the left, step to the right. It's like we're doing a friggin' time warp from Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's just too easy, though. Big rule of thumb is think about always moving to 0 pressure. So as his weapon comes in, I'm moving out of the line to 0 pressure, and I'm either parrying or, in that case, because the energy was such and my weapon was in the right position, I immediately struck the arm. Now, in today's episode, we're using these. These have been supplied by Volpe's Training. These are his Pnute trainers, and they have several different versions of that. So if you're interested in something that actually handles like a real sword, has the weight of a real sword, but yet is still safe enough to practice and not get yourself hurt, I recommend you checking them out. I've been a long time user of his products, and I think they're some of the best training tools out there. Y'all take care.